So, you currently have access to a Medusa head.
Okay, gonna use that.
It is limited.
Great.
You can only use it once per day.
Okay.
But you can try to turn people to stone with it.
Nice.
And then there's one more. Mikamato.
Yes.
During your prayers and whatnot, you actually pray through the night a little bit, but at a certain point in time, you'd also fall asleep. Slightly tired.
I drink myself.
Yeah, pretty much. And during the night, you kind of like start, the moment you sleep, you actually, all of a sudden, you're on this like large field of grass. And you look around a little bit and you see kind of like horses standing there. You see other creatures, wolves, dogs.
The eternal hunting grounds.
Something like that, yeah.
I need to find my horse.
And as you kind of like start looking around, this is indeed a hunting ground. So what do you want to do?
Hunt, I guess, yes.
Okay, what are you hunting?
Well, I start with tracking, and if I find good tracks of maybe a deer or whatever,
okay,
or a swine or whatever, if I find that, I just start tracking it and see if I find it.
Make a survival roll.
Okay.
It takes you a little bit. Like, a little bit longer than you're used to. But in the end, you do find this, like, deer that's standing at, like, a river and is, like, drinking a little bit. Don't really know how it got there. It's really weird. It's almost like distance in this place works in a really strange way. But at a certain point in time, you reach it. But the moment you, like, get there, you immediately see how this deer, like, kind of turns around and notices you. Because you weren't quiet enough during the tracking. What do you want to do?
I freeze, just like I'm stone.
Okay, sure.
And
the deer keeps looking at you at this point.
Yeah. Keeps looking.
Keeps looking at you, yeah.
How far is it away?
At this point, it would be about, like... be about 6 meters, something like that.
I need to look at bow. Oh, damn it, I didn't write it down here. The ranges of a bow.
Gonna look.
Range of a bow. Why don't I not have it? Where is it? Here, other ranged weapons. Bow, 12, 24, 48.
So it is actually in range.
Yep.
So very slowly, but over the course of minutes, I grab my bow, load it, and if the animal is still not doing anything, I just loosen it again and come closer.
Okay. Make a survival roll. Okay, you get like halfway, at which point, like, this deer it's still there. It's just still standing, but it starts to like slightly back off, but it doesn't run away yet.
Okay. I look at the majestic deer and draw my bow and shoot a little bunny that is at its feet.
Okay, sure. Easy enough. Arrow goes in. Bunny falls to the ground. Just looks down. Looks
and I
at
give
you.
respect to the deer and walk to the bunny.
Okay. The deer actually at this point like relaxes a little bit. Like as you're walking towards it, and at a certain point in time, the nose of this deer touches you, like on your shoulder. At which point you sense something. You sense that this touch kind of goes through your entire arm. And you feel this strange amount of energy coming from your right arm. What do you want to do?
Huh?
You just feel some energy occurring in your right arm.
I take the bunny and say, only need to hunt what I need.
Okay.
Oh. And if I feel my... So the deer...
The deer just touched you, and you actually sense this like strange energy going through your entire right arm.
So, okay. And he grabs his tomahawk.
Mm-hmm.
Like juggles a little bit with it.
Mm-hmm.
And throws it at a tree far away, but he throws it.
You chuck the tomahawk, and you actually sense how the energy goes with it. And it hits the tree, and as soon as you blink, that tree has entirely turned to stone.
What?
To stone.
Nice.
Are you the one that cursed my tribe?
Don't get an answer.
And he looks in. The eyes. Deeply.
No answer.
A little bit of anger. And if nothing happens, he just walks towards the tomahawk, gets it out of the stone, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And does he again feel something in his arm?
No.
He throws it at another tree.
Okay. Nothing happens.
Picks it again up.
Mm-hmm.
Is the deer still there?
Yeah.
Walks to the deer. And touches it with his right hand again.
Okay. Your entire arm starts to feel the same again.
Now with left arm?
Yeah. The arm that you touched it with.
Well, yeah, and after that, he touches it with his left arm.
Ah, okay. Same thing.
I clearly had enough to drink tonight. And he lies down and goes to sleep
Okay.
in front of the deer.
Sure. You fall asleep, and you wake back up next to your friends. But at this point, whenever you hit a creature, if you want, you can take 1 level of exhaustion to try to turn them to stone.
What?
Nice. Great. That's cool.
So my curse
Became your
burst.
strength.
What?
You can, you don't have to. And you do take 1 level of exhaustion if you do so.
That's fatigue, right?
Yep. Indeed.
And
And
that
then they have-
means
Then they have to make a spirit roll against it.
yeah.
And if they
But
fail, they
fatigue
are...
is -2 on everything, or
For every level of fatigue you take, it's a -1 on everything.
okay, yeah. And 3 fatigue is dead, or
3
what was
fatigue
it?
is incapacitated. You're not
Okay,
dead
yeah.
at that point, but you do fall unconscious to the ground.
Yeah.
Right, so, with everybody woken up, some of you a little bit weirder of a happenstance than others, what do you want to do?
Follow our journey.
Okay.
Yeah, continue our journey.
Alright. Everybody make writing checks.
While on his horse, Mikamato is constantly looking at his arm and squeezing. Like, yeah.
Yeah. You
He's
sense
very
a strange... You sense a little bit of power coming from it.
very
Do
occupied.
we get our power points and all back?
Power points, yes, you do.
Okay, that's enough.
Alright, so that is a success on everybody except for Abigail.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
You're like the worst Native American on the planet. You can't even ride a horse.
So, it is a little slower this time because Abigail is, holding you back a little bit and nobody got a raise. But you do make it to the outskirts of what you immediately notice is a ghost town. Let me put it like that.
Ghost town.
You notice there's a lot of buildings there completely destroyed. Some of them still have these giant rocks through their roofs or completely enveloping the buildings. You see several buildings that have been completely scorched from explosions. You actually even probably would still see a couple of skeletons, or remains of skeletons laying around. This is a ghost town, and especially Bliss and Abigail, with your kind of connections to miracles and spirits, this place doesn't feel good. It doesn't. It feels dark. It feels slightly corrupted. It doesn't feel good. What are you guys doing?
I transfer the information to my colleagues. I've got a bad feeling.
Bad juju.
It feels off.
I have a small question for Mr. DM.
Mm-hmm.
Do I get the fox back?
When do you get your fox back? Is that after
In 1d4 days.
Oh, right. Roll a d4. Four days.
4 days.
Still 3 to go.
I'm gonna look back which animal I want.
Okay. Because the fox is too weak.
Yeah.
Because I kill it every single time. All right. So what are you doing in town or in this ghost town?
I would like to go stealthily as far as I'm capable of it because
Okay.
it just feels off.
Everybody
Are
makes
there
stealth.
fresh tracks?
Everyone makes a stealth check, okay.
Spell check?
I wouldn't call them.
Down?
I wouldn't call them fresh, but there are tracks.
Okay.
3, is that a success or a fail?
3 is a fail.
Stealth.
Benny?
Yes.
Don't have bennies.
Oh dear.
Give me more.
And my last Benny. That's bad.
That is better. That is true. 9. So that is, hold on, Annie with a raise, Mikomoto success, Blaze success, Abigail fail, and Bliss fail, right? So you're relatively quiet. Let's put it like that. You kind of start traveling through this ghost town, through Panacea, and more as you kind of start looking around, you sense that this place feels weird. It really does. You see more and more buildings that have collapsed under stone. You see a couple of them again that have exploded. I'm just repeating what I said 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, yours.
I know, I'm sorry.
Do we see movement? Something living?
No. However, as you travel closer and deeper into the town, you see something that used to be living. As you see the female that Abigail broke out lying dead on the ground.
No!
You killed her.
Can do we need to take her scalp or something like that to prove to Burns that she's dead, or?
Shit!
I love that that's the original reaction.
I mean, no.
I can draw her.
Can I look which causes her death?
Sure.
There is no witch.
As you
Don't say the witch.
as you
Don't say
look
the W word.
as you look over her,
Not
you see
much.
claw marks.
Oh crap!
Do I know?
I think he
which
said lich.
animal?
What?
Do I know if it's from an animal or
It doesn't
something?
look like it's from an animal.
Okay.
It seems
Shit.
too humane for that. If that's a word.
Humane.
Yes.
She got clawed to death in a humane way.
Wait.
Yes.
You see how that doesn't really compute.
I
With
think
I know.
I think that's what you guys, you Westerners, say is a bitch fight.
Yes.
Can
She
I
lost.
sense any residual magic on her or something? Like from powers used against her?
You kind of like you kind of like start looking into that. The strange thing is you sense magic all around you.
Ah,
It's not just limited to her. Actually, Abigail and Bliss, make notice checks for me, please.
please don't fuck me over. Oh, nice.
Okay. As you're kind of looking through this, and you sense this, at a certain point in time, both of you like look out of the corner of your eye and you feel like you see movements, and as you look in that direction, there's nothing there. But then again, in the corner of your eye, you see movements, and again you look, but nothing's there. And at this point, you're starting to get the feeling that the shadows themselves are starting to move.
Does anybody else see this? Blaze? Mikomoto? Anyone?
Help.
As-
Does Annie notice movement?
Now at this point, while the other two are mentioning it, yes, you do start noticing this. You do start noticing these like strange movements that you can't
Yeah.
really pinpoint.
Annie takes the time to reload his shotgun.
Okay. Sure.
How about we do plan get the fuck out of here?
But it seems unnatural, and unnatural was like the cause of the zombies, so...
Yeah, we have to.
Yes, then set this entire place on fire or something.
Did we hear that zombie like? Okay.
Where does that come from?
I'm voting for an atomic bomb on this place.
Yes.
Do I know where the sounds come from?
Yes.
It seems to come from all around.
I start
Okay.
to
Huddle.
get a little bit
At which point you start healing movements, footsteps.
Yay. Let's head out.
Multiple footsteps or just one?
Multiple in a very large number sense.
And
Let's
in
head
around
out.
and everywhere around us, or in
Yep.
I don't think we're going to get anywhere out here soon.
Okay. Still, I want to back out.
You start moving and you all of a sudden see this row of zombie-like figures.
Let's find the choke point, get them one by one, and I point at one of the buildings or whatever with a door, preferably.
Can we hide?
You can try.
We need to get the
Is
choke
there a
point.
building we
Maybe
can go
higher
in?
ground.
You see a couple
maybe
of
whatever.
buildings that you can still get into, but now all of a sudden behind you,
Yes.
you also notice.
Oh god.
And
Let's head into a building.
How thick are the rows? Can we break through?
There's about 2 or 3 rows at this point.
Building?
That's too much.
And as you kind of start moving towards a building, all of a sudden those rows, they just stop. And they still make sound, but they don't move anymore. They just look at you.
The fuck?
Oh, fun! We can
Do
stay
I
building.
hear?
Well, time to make a living here because we're not getting out.
So as soon as we are in the building, they don't
What's
move
the
anymore.
choice of the buildings, actually?
There's a couple of buildings, but most of them are like there's I think like 2 or 3
Saloon?
buildings that still have like the saloon you're not going to be able to get to. That's like a little deeper into town. There's a couple of like small homes where people used to live. One of them has like their buildings collapsed and one of the walls is partially collapsed. One of them is like partially exploded on like the backside, and one of them seems to stand up straight but is mostly made out of wood. So it's kind of your call what you want to go into.
Something that's structural.
At that point, it would probably be the first building. Like the roof's off. There's maybe like a small hole that you can still protect, but you can. It's not going to be perfect.
Let's
we
go for
can
that.
seek higher ground.
Yeah, you can. You can still go up to like the first floor.
Okay.
Have to be a little careful because there is a lot of rubble there, but you would be
I
able
think
to still
that's
do.
one. That's the best one then.
Okay, so you're all moving towards that building.
Yeah.
Okay, you start moving
Yes.
towards the building, and at that point, like, kind of like you have your 2 rows. They kind of start like forming together into like this half circle. If you kind of get what I mean, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they move towards each other so that they make one half circle around the building, kind of. You see a couple of additional of these zombies starting to come in. And they are, to an extent, just surrounding the building, but they're not making any aggressive movements.
Mikamato stands in the doorway with his tomahawks and just standing there for if they come to just hold them in that choke point.
Yes,
Okay.
let's hold them with like protection and
And
deflection and
he
holy
asks the
symbol.
rest to search the building that we can't get attacked from behind or whatever.
Okay.
So you guys start preparing the building kind of for a siege, sort of.
Yeah.
If needed, yes.
Through all that, these zombies are just standing there looking at you. Just...
Wait, what time of day is it? Is
This
it
would
dark?
be... It wouldn't be dark. It would be relatively like 4-ish in the afternoon.
So they do stay there. Okay.
Can I?
Can I throw a rock outside to see if they like, react on movement or hearing or something? Throw a rock like behind their, like the moss behind the rows.
You throw a rock. They just keep standing there looking at you.
Can I
Alright.
suggest your next animal companion, Abigail? A dove, and then we can send a message. Okay?
Wait.
So as
Can I
Sorry, yeah, go.
research the building? If I
Sure,
find
make a notice check.
something. Nice.
So the building itself is not. It's structurally still okay. It's partially like the roof is almost completely collapsed. There's 2 floors to it. So you have the bottom floor, you have the top floor. From the top floor, because most of the roof is gone, you have like a couple of places where you can like look over the wall and look down. There's also a window, but it's completely like broken out. And other than that, mostly what you see in the buildings is like the remains of people that used to live here. Like there's a couple of like rusted knives and forks, a couple of pots and pans that are completely rusted over. You know, there's a bed that is completely like destroyed and eaten. It's the remains of like a small household, so to speak.
Okay.
Where you would assume 2 people without kids lived.
Okay.
Alright.
All right.
Okay, take our final stand here. Or,
We could,
do something
with fire water, we could make fire Molotov, which
Ooh.
doesn't exist, but you know.
At this
something.
point,
Yeah.
Cloth.
you all of a sudden hear like a lightning strike. A couple more.
What the fuck?
And then you have like this half circle of the zombies. And all of a sudden, you don't know where this figure comes from. It's almost like he appeared out of nowhere. But you see this one ethereal figure just walk into half the circle. You notice it seemed like when this person lived, seemed to be relatively rich, because wearing like these fancy clothes, wearing even a cloak to his side. You see, you know, these like 2 like bracelets. Even in the ethereal form, you can kind of see that they used to be gold. There's, however, one very strange thing about this figure. You see how half their face, half their head, half their skull even, is gone. You're literally just looking at like one half of a skull, like one eye, half of a mouth,
Ew.
half of the nose. You don't really, and this part, like, you still see the remains of like a brain. If you like would look inside the skull, so to speak, you'd still see like the remains of a brain and stuff.
It's like the ghost from Harry Potter. Like
No, because that one's lost part of that. This is like literally just.
But the other way around.
Yeah, and the feeling that you do get is like that part of this head, like the remains of this head, seems to have smushed together. It's like almost as if something fell on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
At which point, this spirit figure just looks up. You servants of Burns, I assume.
We're trying to.
Yes.
We're trying actually to get him into jail, but yeah.
Where
For the
is
moment.
he? Bring me Burns!
Why you need him? I say in Indian.
What did he
doesn't
do?
respond. And he just points over the entire city. And that's where we're going to leave this session. Because I'm an asshole.
I knew it. I knew it.
Oh no!